Hey everybody, welcome to today's ArcheAge live stream. I am the Blue Muzzy community manager, and up to my, I don't know if that's left or right now, stage right, left, whatever. That's Serafina, you guys know her. She's associate producer. She used to be CM. She taught me a lot of tricks, and then she's like, see ya!
Yeah, pretty much. But that's how it went. I literally was like, hey, guess who's working on ArcheAge now? And then ran away. I mean, we don't talk every day or call each other frequently or discuss community things at all. I mean, why would we do any of those things on a regular daily basis? That seems silly.
So today, as you guys saw, we actually put up a post pretty early. I put it up, it's my left, thank you, Oreo. So I put up a post pretty early this week so that you guys had the chance to put in a whole bunch of questions. So if you go to the forums, you guys can actually see when I put the live stream posts up. Generally, I put them into news and announcements, and you can't respond to it, but this time I put it into official discussions. That way you guys could respond and ask a whole bunch of questions, and you did. I have pages of questions in front of me that we have gone through and tried to answer. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to pitch those to Serafina. She's going to give you guys the answers. And then from there, if there's time at the end, we're going to go ahead and take questions from chat, which I'll be writing down. So if you're going to ask any questions right now, I'm going to miss them. I'm going to, when we're done, flip these over, put this down, and I'm going to be very focused on writing down your questions when that time comes. But for right now, I'd like to go ahead and start the live stream so we can get as many of these questions in as possible.
You know, it's under like jokes, like plot twists is a thing on the papers. I remember when I used to come in like live streams, and if I didn't have papers, people would get anxious because they'd be like, "How are you? You don't have papers? How do you know what we've asked?" And I'm like, "There's 2 monitors in front of me, and they have all of your questions on them."
Yeah, I actually
digital.
I have 3 monitors for 5 over there in the producer's table. I've got 3 keyboards in front of me, 3 mice, and a controller, apparently. So we have a battle station ready to answer as much as you guys can ask. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start. Yeah, how's it going, everybody? Okay, so first question that we got from that was, what time frame? What is the time frame for 3.74.0? We have mentioned this before, but I'd like to hear a full-on answer here, Serafina. Give me what you got.
Right. Are you ready to know the exact timeline of when 3.74.0, the combined patch, because they're going to be happening at the same time? Would you love to know when they're coming out?
I would love to know. Yeah.
I would love to tell you because it will happen at Gamescom.
All right. Gamescom, actually. So
no, we're looking for the end of the year for that. We're going to have more information about that at Gamescom, though.
Yeah, at Gamescom, we'll start releasing that information, is the thing. So we have, as with any time that big information comes through the pipeline, we try to look for the best time to announce it. Also, we want to make sure that we announce it once we have a lot of the answers, the answers to questions that would come up. So unfortunately, right now, we don't have all those answers, and it's not quite the right time. So at Gamescom...
I want to jump on you a little bit there, because it's actually... Normally what happens is we have like our quarterly business meetings before we make these like large announcements. This time around we're not actually. We're going to be having the quarterly business meeting after we make the announcement at Gamescom. So we have like the bulk of everything, but you're going to hear me talk about things that we still have under consideration, and they're going to remain under consideration until we can really sit down with the XL team and the core ArcheAge development team and our wing North American team later in September. So.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, a lot of the topics, too, we're still getting a lot of community feedback, and we're still discussing a lot of stuff with them. So it is not at all a done discussion. So that means we don't have all the answers yet. We're not ready to release until we have, the majority of the answers. Like we did with the evolutions. We made sure that we had a lot more information ready for you guys when we released that information. Okay, so that was question number 1. I'm going to cross that off.
Done.
Hopefully you guys understand that is just how it is, and we will get more information to you on that in the future. The next one is...
It's not because we don't want to tell you. We're really excited about this.
There's a lot unknown still. Yeah. So we do. We want to tell you about it, too. We actually want to know a lot of the answers, too. So, okay, so the next one we have, are there going to be fresh start servers with the release for 3.7.4.0 combination?
That's still under discussion. I mean, same thing as the prior one, and I don't really want to talk about that quite just yet, but it's definitely something on our minds.
To be perfectly honest, the evolution is huge. It's enormous, and because of that, we have a lot that we're worried about there. And before we move on to the next server-related thing, we want to make sure that this is done, solid, sold, out the door with as few issues as possible. So.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, and
5
actually...
minutes? Was that 5 minutes, line minimum? I think that was 2 minutes, but we'll continue onwards.
So I do want to say there's a shout-out to... Man, I wrote this down earlier. It's Play Nation and what was the other one that killed Leviathan? Can you guys help me out in chat here on EU? First EU Leviathan, which was pretty cool. There's a post on it in the forums and people posting pictures and stuff, which means I believe that the first Wyvern might come as well because you need to kill Leviathan to make a Wyvern, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it Wyvern? Wyvern?
It's Wyvern.
Wyvern.
It's Wyvern.
I know it's Wyvern. Okay, so next one we have is New Age. Thank you. Yes, New Age was the other one. Thank you so much. Congratulations to you guys. I'm sure that was a pain in the butt because I still want to see a Leviathan fight. That's going to be one of my next things to look out for. Okay, so which bugs are the highest priority right now? What do we really care about, and we're having heavy discussions with XL about right now?
Yeah. So the biggest ones, I think we're going to have a question on the biggest one right now on my mind later on, but that is the UI and FPS drops that players have been reporting. That's like the big one because it impacts gameplay, it impacts performance, it impacts a lot of users too. We really want to get more information on that, but the trouble with that one, we'll go into it a bit more later, but we need more information on it. It's elusive. But we'll discuss that in a little bit. The other ones after that, I think the second biggest one is going to be the concussive arrow. Players have reported to us that concussive arrow is not being blocked. They did a lot of testing on PTS, and sorry, I should correct myself. It should not be blocked. It is being blocked, and that is hurting Archer's efficacy overall. I mean, archery is always a class that can take what it can get, as a lot of players have pointed out. And concussive arrow is one of the things that they get that's really, really awesome. So we're trying to deal with that with XL and point that out to them that right now it's currently being blocked. It should not be blocked. And we want to get that fixed for a future update. After that, it's a couple of player nation related bugs. Basically, player nations who go under treaty, they sometimes have the guards in the nation that they have treated with. Those guards will still become hostile, even though that they are at peace with the nation, like the council has accepted their request. The Lord's coins were taken. They should be green, but they're still red. We also have the reports that player nations are still being electrocuted, at least the healers are, down in a couple of the events, specifically Aegis Island. When the Seal Guardians come out, they electrocute the healers. That shouldn't happen.
Probably not.
It sounds like something just got missed. They are otherwise neutral to the rest of the player nations, so we want to get that one fixed as well. And finally, the poison page debuff has come back. That's from Tyrannos' indexes for the library. If you use too many, it's an anti-body mechanic, but we have our own security systems in place here on our servers, and we don't need that mechanic. So we've routinely asked for it not to be included in our version in the past. Sometimes it slips back in, flipped in again. We're asking for it to be removed again.
Right.
Those are the high priority bugs we have right now. And when I want to be specific, that when people are asking me about what are bugs, I'm talking about straight up, this is wrong. Mm-hmm. The development team knows it should be wrong, or we know it should be wrong. We've bugged it in the system. This is different from gameplay. Right. Gameplay things like, Dark Runner's overpowered, or I wish they were buffed to archery. Those aren't bugs. Those are pieces of feedback that we take in a very different manner. They're not like yes or no questions. They are, we should consider this, and then there's math, and then there's a bunch of game design mechanics that go into it, and considerations from both us and the XL team. So that's a different process. I don't want to feel like we're shirking off someone's concerns. Like, I think Dark Runner is a bug. That's not. It's not a bug. The definition of bug to us. Yeah.
I do want to say it's play faction, not play nation. I apologize for that. I was thinking about the next question, which had something in reference to the player nation bugs and stuff like that. So I do apologize for that, guys. It's play faction and New Age. Good job. Okay, so the next question we have, which upcoming changes from 3.7 to 4.0 are we actively discussing with XL?
Yeah. I'm glad you said discussing, because the original post was actively campaigning against. What parts do you hate? We're still getting in a lot of information on update 4.0. We have the core design documents. We have a lot of the patch notes. and we have a lot of the behind-the-scenes discussions that we've had with the developers. But at the same time, there are still aspects of it that we need to better understand from Excel. We need more information on that isn't provided through our documentation. Stuff that we've seen in the community, actually, that we really want to get into the nitty-gritty with them, but the nitty-gritty isn't always given to us straight off the bat. We have to ask for it. So we are asking for it. We are trying to get that stuff nailed down. And then it's really going to be, we're really going to sit down and really talk about it during the quarterly business review. And that's what I was mentioning before. That's sort of the time when, we have a giant meeting of the minds and really go over community feedback, how things were perceived in Korea, what do the team feel succeeded and failed? What can we focus on going forward? And with all of that in mind, can we make changes to 4.0? We have the benefit of being behind Korea. We have the benefit of being able to look ahead and see how the Korean audiences react to things, because in many ways they react the same way that the North American and European players act. So sometimes we're able to bring changes down. A great example of this is bringing in 3.7 changes for Aeronor gear. That was brought into 3.5. That was a really important change for us. It was an important change for the XL team too. So we really wanted to see what we could do, and we could make that happen. We'd love to see that happen for 4.0 as well. If they have some future development, which you have to understand, for them right now, they're building post 4.0. That is what they are
already. They're already working on that, yeah.
And we are pre 4.0, so we need to see what development changes they can make, and we can drop down to a lower version, because their build is going to be different than our build. It's a development thing. That's sort of like a coding thing. I think any coders in the chat will understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, as with any project management, they're already working on things far past what has been released. Same thing with us. We're always working on things far past what we have discussed with you guys, and there's a time and a place for that stuff to come through. So that's a big part of it too. Yeah.
I think just to also briefly comment on what Snixar just put in, I think because it's somewhat related to what we're discussing right now. He asked, or he or she asked, why is communication between Trion and Excel always seems so delayed? And there's a couple of reasons for that. One, when we send emails or we send requests, it takes about a day to return around, at least for them to see it. Because we're talking to them during our day. They don't get online till all night. We sometimes have conversations with them over the phone or over Skype at that period of time. But that's all going to their project management team, who then give it to their actual developers. And those developers sit in two different locations that could be on the North American team, which is a specific group of Excel developers who only work on the North American and European version. Or they could be going to the core ArcheAge design team, which are the guys who actually build ArcheAge for all regions and specifically for the Korean region. So that's why, it actually goes through like one layer of communication through us, gets translated, then goes to them. They look at it, they give it to their devs. Their devs will try and do a one-day turnaround as fast as possible. That's not always possible. Sometimes they have to go dig into code. Sometimes they want to write up a longer explanation for why they may have made a decision, or maybe they want to better understand the needs of our region, and maybe they do want to make a change, but they don't know when that change could be made. Therefore, they want to confirm that first. Yeah, I mean, there's a variety of reasons, really.
Like with any production, I mean, they have a production schedule, and then when we bring something up to them, it has to be interjected into the production schedule at a spot that it is allowed to push other things. And if other things have a higher priority at that moment, then unfortunately, that's going to be tough for them to squeeze that in. But they do, and they try to get back to us as soon as possible. So.
They really do. They really do. I think we've been getting faster and faster on that, too. I think players are starting to see that with the turnaround times. We're trying to speed that up as much as possible. But to go back to the original question, which is what is of concern, and really it's a lot of the community stuff that people have been bringing up right now. Improvements to cross-server arenas, because not all the cross-server arenas are included not all of the arenas are included in cross-server functionality for 4.0. The naval arenas, coming up, could we get maybe a 5-man mode instead of just doing, solo entry and then we randomize teams? We're looking at the way the buffs have been minimized. We're looking at class balance again, because we heard, things about how the Korean team took on class balance in 4.0 and then are additionally revamping it after 4.0 with the whole, what they call the battle balance changes. Which we now have the full information on, and hopefully we'll be communicating with you very shortly. So there is definitely a lot going into 4.0 that we want to better understand, both from the community perspective, from seeing what you guys are saying and what you've already seen from the Korean version, and things that they're seeing from their version and the existing documents that we already have. And all of that goes together into forming our opinions on what could or could not change. So on all of that stuff, I always want to say, like, that's subject to change. Some of it absolutely may come to our version, but it's too early to call right now what exactly those things will be. If there are changes, what those changes would be. Would it just be leaving the system out? Would it be changing it around? Those are all great questions, and we need to see what we can do within the time allotted.
Yeah, I've been diligently collecting all of the feedback regarding a lot of these buffs, sending them to Celestrata, and then writing up reports and making sure that gets to Excel. So the conversation is happening. It absolutely is happening.
Yep.
Okay, next one. When will we'll see? Oh, wow. Okay. Let me start that one over. When will we see the return of insert event? Like, for the example, Fish of Shining Shoals, which I don't know what that one is. What is that one?
That's a cool fishing event, actually.
Okay.
There are definitely always, times of the year when we want to bring back certain events. A lot of them do return, as we have the Blue Salt Festival coming up. We're going to be having the Shadow Guard Festival come up again soon. Eventually, we're going to have the Zodiac Festival again, and then we can hand out everyone's Zodiac coins that we haven't forgotten about. And I should mention for the 90th time that still haunts me at night. But right now, like, for a specific one, like for the Fish of Shining Shoals, there's no specific time when it might be brought back. But if there's enough of a community desire, we can see if we can move that one up.
Right.
Smash the Presents. I know everyone loves Smash the Presents because they gave a lot of stuff. Well, maybe it will come back this year for the holiday season. We'll see.
And for those of you who did not see it, I did update the Blue Salt Festival rewards list. It was altered a little bit. We added a couple temporary things, like one was a mount, one was a vehicle. What was the third temporary one? Oh, the other one, the skateboard. And then there was also a plushie, Green Man plushie added, and then also the Blue Salt hammer requirements are now gone too. So
that's on Grand Blue's dive helmet. Yeah, Grand Blue's helmet and Bakutan swim fins. Those requirements on the hammers were removed because it's a festival, guys. You should be spending money on festivals. So.
Right. Okay, cool. So that's important. Next one that we've got is, could we get a sale event for expansion scrolls or character slot scrolls before the evolution? And this was, in particular, people wanted to know this because they wanted to be able to maximize their storage capacity for the evolution change.
Yeah. We thought about that. In fact, we thought about it. XL thought about it. They actually came to us with the idea just around the same time we were considering it. And then people started asking us in the community if we were going to do it. And the answer is no. And it's very odd for me to say so flatly to a community request, like a no. And that's because we don't want to look like we're profiting off of an evolution. An evolution's a tough time for a lot of people. They're losing their land that they've worked on for years. We don't want to sit there and be like, we're going to reduce the cost of these items just so you can shove more stuff into your character and then transfer or evolve. Instead, what we want to do is really look at what we can do to offer those items back for free of charge in part of the evolution process. So that's going to be, all the stuff like any furniture items that you have, they're going to be kicked back to your inbox, so you can get all those back. Right. Family tickets that you've used, name change tickets that you used, guild levels. Like, someone just asked me, will prestige, family levels, and guild levels be kept? Yes, to all of those things. They're going to be refunded to you via various items that you can use in game. All of these things are going to be kicked back. Like your storage chests, I know that's always the concern, and that's why you want to expand your character's inventory or their warehouse. That stuff is going to be returned to you via mail too, so that you don't have to worry about packing everything up into these little tiny spots, unless you want to transfer. In which case, the transfer system is still the transfer system. You would still have to migrate your stuff down. But if you want to keep everything and you want to do so free of charge, you can do that, and that's really important for us.
Okay, great. Next one. Let's see. So that one was good. Are we working to release updates at about the same time that KR releases? So in other words, when they release 4.0, we're also releasing 4.0 around the same time, or why are we not doing that kind of thing?
Yeah. No, it's not something we're really interested in. We've really moved up our development schedule as closely as we can follow with Korea. And there's two reasons it can't, and we don't want it to go any further than that. The first is the can't. The way our development is done, KR finalizes their build, they have all their changes, it goes then to our team on the Excel side. They look at it and they begin adding in our customizations and rebuilding for our version of the game. It basically is like a cake that's sort of like you put it on top. And that keeps adding to our builds over time. So there's a restriction there. It cannot be earlier than what KR does. Otherwise, either patch would have to be delayed in the swing of things. And of course, whatever we would do would have to be done by all the other regions as well. There's Japan, there's China, there's Russia. We're all in the same boat here on how ArcheAge is developed and how many forks Excel runs for all of the regions. Beyond that, there is a benefit and a value here, and that's being able to see how the Korean audience reacts to certain parts of the updates before it comes to our shores, and it gives us the time to have that discussion and get those changes in, which I think we're doing more and more now. So those are the two reasons, like the actual can't and like the other side of it, like the desire side of why that doesn't change and any further than it is now. We do want to get them out as fast as possible after KR does it. 3.7 just had to be shoved into 4.0 due to evolution and a couple other work requirement reasons. But we always try to make it as fast of a turnaround as we can possibly can.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough question, but I think that was a fair answer.
Yep.
Okay, so this is a common one. I get this pretty regularly.
Yep.
How long are we locking evolution servers for after the 30th? So first, I just want to say what's happening, just to put this out there, on the 16th, when server transfers start, that's when you will no longer be able to transfer to an evolution server. And then on the 30th, you can't, after the 30th, you can't transfer to or from an evolution server. So plan accordingly. That's very important. And then, so again, after that, they're going to be locked. There's not going to be, like, on the 30th, that's when it locks. So how long?
How long? That is still being discussed, but really it comes down to how the servers progress. It's going to be locked very closely to what players do within the evolution servers. We want to give enough time for everyone to comfortably get land, comfortably get castles, and really have their first raids, get heroes set up, and really have the server begin itself all over again before letting in new players from other servers. These evolution servers are being made for those players of those affected servers, and we want to make sure that everything there goes to them first, rather than other people coming in from the outside. So that's really the determining factor right there.
Right. So
it's going to be a while. I'm going to put that out there. It's going to be most likely not something like what we're going to do within a week. But that entirely depends on how fast the servers move. So,
guys, I'm not stoned. I don't do that. Just so you know.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure. I'm just really tired.
Oh no!
I don't drink. I don't do any of that. So I just look this way. Sorry.
He was playing ArcheAge last night, guys.
I was pretty late.
Nice.
Let's see. I saw a quick question up here that I did want to just answer real quick. Somebody said making another fresh start server is not a solution if you plan on doing that in the future. We already did discuss that. If you guys want to, or if you're interested in, I highly suggest it. I think that you guys should go back to the beginning of the stream and watch it from start to finish, because a lot of you guys showed up while we were already answering some of these questions. So some of that stuff might be answered for you guys. So
that's not the stoner look.
It's the gamer look. I'm with you, man. That's exactly what it is. But I appreciate you knowing the distinction. That makes me happy. Okay, next big question. This one bugs me because we talked about it too a little bit earlier. But where are we on the FPS drop issue when hovering over the inventory?
Yeah, as I started alluding to this earlier, and I want to give it more discussion now that the question's been brought up. The trick with that one is we haven't found a definitive cause for what triggers it. A lot of players, I've seen so many theories about how it could be caused, and they're all different depending on who you talk to, including our QA department, who have completely different theories on how it's caused. But they got it to happen, naturally. They got it to happen very weakly once in one of our versions, and we were able to record it and send logs and send information over to Excel. The trouble is that those normal ways we look for errors, nothing's really turning up right now. Nothing's like really hitting performance. So they need on their side to be able to reproduce it reliably. And it's just not happening right now.
Yeah, and
so if you guys have a way to reproduce it super reliably, we'd be very interested in that.
So I want to define reproduce, because I've talked to players about this before, and they're like, it happens to me all the time. It always reproduces. I'm like, no, that's not what we mean when we say reproduce. We mean we want to find out, like for example, is it when the game has been on for more than 20 minutes and you have X items in your bag and your inventory has been open for 10 minutes? If that is the case every single time and it triggers it, that is a reproduction. That's how we reproduce things, because then that helps us track back through the code and find out exactly what's wrong and then fix the issue. For example, it could also be only hovering over items that have activatables, but that icon is also on your skill bar, and it only happens then. Now, obviously, we've had a lot of people say, oh, it happens when X, Y, and Z, and unfortunately, it doesn't happen for everybody when X, Y, and Z takes place. So we need to find something that is always occurring, causing the occurrence. So if you guys have that kind of reproduction, then yeah, definitely send it, because that's super useful.
It can be something more complicated than that too. Yeah. It could be like, I run a GTX 970 and I have NVIDIA driver version 3.14.56 released in November, and if I run DirectX 10 or 11, but obviously 10 doesn't work on ArcheAge, but 11 and 9 do. I'm running a DirectX 11, but we found a bug earlier that only occurs on DX 11, not 9. It's stuff like that we need to know so we can point them in the right direction to reproducing it.
It's not reproducing because it's always happening. That's not that may be for you, but unfortunately, it doesn't it doesn't happen to me. It doesn't happen on
It doesn't
my
happen
work
to me
machine
either, which
or my home
I've
machine.
tried to make it happen.
Exactly. Okay, so guys, if you have a reproduction for a bug, consider the definition that I've told you. Consider all of the things that are making it happen. If you notice it happen, like last night, I actually submitted a bug last night and worked on it a bit this morning, because with my Conqueror's Cube, there are times when the heal on him triggers and the cooldown starts, but he doesn't actually heal. And so that was a problem for me, and I have made sure to submit that. If you guys see that happening, definitely report it, but also try to figure out how. I thought it was only when I'm gliding, when I have him out while I'm gliding, if I hit the button or if it auto does it, that it doesn't work, but that's not the case. Like, I went through 20 or 30 lives where I had to keep respawning him because I couldn't figure out what exactly was causing it. So stuff like that, if you guys notice bugs like that, it's very important that you figure out exactly, or try to figure out exactly what causes it. That'd be nice. Okay, next one.
Is that a Discord shirt?
It is a Discord shirt. Yeah, this is from, I don't remember, Moby, when we get this. Does it say it down here? It says Pack South. Look at that. I should learn to read. It says it at the bottom, Pack South. There you go. Anyway, okay, so next one. Any news on updating old cars to the S200 or the salvage option? So we talked about this a lot. This is not something that we have ignored. The discussion is still happening. On top of that, like for part of it, there was a reason. We've stated reasons why it wasn't going to get a ticket for an upgrade and stuff like that. Mainly because it's a completely different frame, and we've heard like, oh, but KR does it, but they did it in a different way. And so, Serafina, do you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah.
Specifically, like the salvage option. I know that was something that we were talking about.
Yeah. So, like the salvage option is something we mentioned before. Possibly getting your car, putting it into the crafting system, and getting a certain amount of materials back, and being able to use it for the B200. Well, not for the for the S200 model. It's something that's the direction we're going to go with. We're still discussing it, when it could happen.
I just want to call out to homie Pop Tart real quick. I have this bug where I open my bank and it's always empty. That is not solvable by us. Sorry, that is definitely player caused. I'm sure you could figure out a solution to that. Nice try.
One day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that's still under discussion. I don't want to say much more because it is so heavily under discussion.
Yeah.
We just got a response back on it last week, I want to say. So it's still a thing. Actually.
Yeah, and again, that's one of the things where if it the Serafina, this is another one that I got, and I forgot to put this in here, but there were supposed to be 3 cars and there's only 2. I get that a lot.
The C200, yeah. I heard it's a very nice model that perhaps should be available sometime in the future, perhaps around a certain party. for a certain currency. It won't be a common currency. I'm going to say that right off the bat. It's going to be one of the super rare currencies.
Gotcha.
So I'm not gonna I don't want to raise people's hypes up and be like, it's gonna be available for vocation. It's
right.
it's not. But it's gonna be in the game in the future for a certain party period.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that later.
Wonder when that could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so also we have, these are a couple of other questions. So I wanted to focus on, just so you know, when I got all the questions, I wanted to focus on the questions that were not balance related, meaning like, why does this not do this? That's not for us to say. That is very much an Excel developer balancing question for them. And yes, we have those questions, and yes, I have corralled all those into something, and yes, we have been sending those over and discussing that. However, I wanted to get more of the bigger questions that are coming through. The next bunch of questions are kind of like, they kind of cross over that a little bit. I think we covered all of the major questions that were asked, but I want to talk about a couple more, like stuff like removing arena limits. Now, this is a developer-specific decision, and so if you want to talk about that a little bit, like right now you have to use bruiser badges to be able to fight more in the arena. So
yeah, and that's a long-standing piece of feedback. Yeah. Changing arena limits or changing the way rewards are given out, and we've given a lot of explanation on why we did this before. We want to make sure players are playing diversified content, and I say we as the greater ArcheAge team as a whole across both divisions, and there's also a desire to make sure rewards aren't given out too highly from one play type over and 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 over. Like if someone just dominates an arena all day long, that's all they do. Right. We want them to be doing other things in ArcheAge and participating in other types of content, and that's why the Bruises badges were introduced. In the Korean version, they're available for honor. In our version, they're available for gold. We actually made that change, thinking that maybe gold would be more interesting for our players. And maybe honor seemed too restrictive. Like you win, you get some honor, but then you immediately lose it if you want to play again.
Right.
That didn't seem cool for us, but it seems apparently much better for you. The feedback has come in. You guys don't like gold for Bruises badges, and that's a call we clearly made an error on. So I think it's something we want to definitely reconsider for the future. As to what happens, I'm not sure what that would be, but that's something it's still loomed on my mind. And I want to tackle it when we get the opportunity to tackle it. That's pretty much the answer there.
So Gizmo Tyrant, I just want to call out here. So you say arena is dead because alts or cheaters or not big reward. Well, unfortunately, if you add an even bigger reward, it incentivizes people to alt or cheat even more. So you kind of got to choose one there, man. Like that's kind of the issue. Like it seems like, oh, there's an answer, but unfortunately you have to think about the long reaching effects and all of the things that kind of go into it when you come up with it. So you can identify a problem, but then you have to identify a solution that fixes all of the problems as well as it can, or you just stop caring about one problem and only fix one, and then everyone will start complaining about the other problem, then you got to fix it again. So it's not easy. Things like that are not easy. You have to realize that that's why there are long discussions about it, finding the right solution to it. So okay, let's see, what is being done or discussed to help close the gear gap? So this is a huge piece of discussion that I think I've put it in the past 3 or 4 reports. So because of that, you guys know we are absolutely talking about it. There is a big discussion about it. If you want to talk about it more, Sarah.
Yeah, it's Gizmo Tyrant says, Wes, we know it's not easy. It's not even that it's not easy. It's just that saying it within one live stream without devoting an entire live stream to it is almost theoretically impossible. I will say this. The gear gap is one of the pillars of things we're looking at right now. It's one of the highest priority long-term things that we are looking at, and the Korean team is looking at as well. We brought it up during one of our most recent conference calls with the main design team and just said the gear gap is intense. If you come in as a low, if we give you celestial level gear like the Soul Forge gear, and you come in at 4K, you can still be 3-shot. I have a 4K character. I came in
as a completely new character. I'm just now over 4K, and I swear if we gave people free gear, I didn't get that free gear because I didn't have an account at the time. But if we give people more free gear, that kind of upsets me personally. Like, you know, and I'm sure it upsets other players. Like, I worked hard for that 4K gear score, and now people coming back just get the 4K gear score. I don't like that. So that's not a solution for me. But my opinion doesn't matter. A lot of other people have that
solution. That's a short-term fix that we've done a couple of times. Just like, you know, someone asked, like, what about KR getting legendary stuff? You know, could we get that? Well, that's, again, a short-term fix. I think the gear gap is a much longer-term discussion point.
Please don't make it too easy to get gear. I agree with that completely. That is my stance on it. But the thing is, like, the issue is there. The problem is there. And a lot of people toss out a lot of solutions, and I put those in air quotes because they are not necessarily the solution that we should take. It's a lot harder to just decide that is a solution because it has to kind of fit everybody. The solution has to be right for as many people as possible.
Yeah, and it's something that's going to be just looked at for a long-term fix. So don't expect this to like happen, you know, by the end of the year. This is something the Korean team's probably going to be looking for next major, next large version update down the road at some point. I can't even say when, but it's definitely something that's on their minds and something that, you know, we all acknowledge that needs to be looked at.
Right. Okay, so next one. Unfortunately, there's not just like an answer, obviously. A lot of these things would take an entire stream to discuss it, but we would already have to have the answers in order to even do that properly. So my best piece of information is go to the forums and participate in the discussion. And there's a very large discussion happening already there about it, and it's very nice to see that because I use all of that information when I'm writing my reports. Okay, so next one. New dungeons with new gear, question mark.
Not right now.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm looking at it right now. I'm like, not right now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But you know what is coming.
Yeah. What was that?
But you know what is coming. I mean, at least
what is coming?
We have the naval arenas.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've heard a lot of people talking about that stuff. So.
Yeah, and we're going to talk more about the naval arena at Gamescom.
At Gamescom, more information there.
Does that mean we will never ever do new dungeons with new content in the future? No. You know that's absolutely on the table. We added Miss Song Summit, you know, back during Bloodsong. It's completely something we can do.
Right. Okay, so next one is, can we have the mobilization or trial UI, can it be moved? Because it just pops up like right in the middle.
Everyone hates that UI because it comes up so frequently. We'll see. It's a long-standing piece of feedback. If it can be done in the UI, yeah, we want to suggest that.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is not like game-breaking stuff, right? But it is definitely annoying.
That's quality of life stuff.
That's quality of life.
That's important too. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Let's see. That one was good. Is there any plan to create an API?
Not this time. That's a nice to have. There's definitely other things we want to make sure that we're focusing on for the engineering side of things, and that's, you know, core gameplay. Yeah.
So I realize that you guys say it's game breaking, it's life breaking. I feel you. Like, it interrupts things. I just wanted to comment on that. I understand. It is. I would like for it to remember the location that I move it to too. So, okay.
Yes.
And then the API thing, like you said. So, tells, dude, chill, man. All right. So let's see. This is a big one. So, can XL revise the bidding requirements on castle sieges so that alt guilds or sham guilds with no genuine active players in them cannot bid on the siege scrolls? A couple suggestions were like require minimum guild level or size or leadership requirements for X percentage of the people in the guild, stuff like that.
Yeah, all great pieces of feedback, and all something that we can bring up with them. You know, siege changes are obviously something that's more on XL side than our side. I think that there are some very valid pieces of feedback that are coming up out of this, and I understand the desire for, you know, guilds who work really, really hard on what they do, and they want to be recognized, and they want to make that top set of locations where they can make those bids, and then it kind of sucks to have an alt guild, you know, like come up and just kind of snipe you. That sucks. So that's feedback we want to give to them, and thank you. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Let's say thank you. Like it's good. It's good stuff.
So I started doing trade runs myself over the past 2 nights. I've done quite a bit, and I'm starting to really understand that system. I haven't quite hit the point where like I'm making larders and understanding that whole portion of it. However, there's a lot more that I understand now. So this question actually burns bright in my own eyes because I was experiencing this. Can we please have a way to see cargo turn-in values at the cargo exchanger? I want that too.
I want that too. That's a great piece of feedback and worth bringing up. Thanks.
Yeah. So that's
these are like, it's like not a question. It's more like, that's a cool idea.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. And there have been a couple different discussions about that as well that I want to try to include in my next report. Okay. So another one that we have here is here's the big one. Are you ready?
Oh, jeez.
All right.
This is the big one.
All right. Why/how do we choose the servers for the evolution? And why did we not choose certain ones?
So I brought this up. I saw this question on Reddit, and I tackled it with a very long response. And I'm going to try and minimize that response because we only have like 10 minutes left in the stream.
Right.
But I want to really go over this because I think people really don't believe that we're trying to make good decisions when we are. We're trying to make, the most well-informed, thought-out, accurate opinions. And all of this comes from data that we have on our side that monitors the way people play the game. And this data isn't something like we get once a month and just that's what we go off of. Like this data comes every day.
Yeah,
and we review it every day.
It's a massive amount of information.
It's a massive amount of data. Someone said if Big Data Dude can probably write something for it, for a previous one. Big Data Dude writes stuff for everything. And This is part of his efforts of what he provides to us. And that stuff comes from our business team, or they're called business intelligence. They're the data team. And Big Data Dude is a member of it and also an avid ArcheAge player. And some of this is his work. So when we look at all that information on how people play, faction balance, player population, average hours played, average CC, average concurrent users for a server,
We're also not only looking at the data.
And we also look at some, what we hear about, players.
Yeah.
How does player feedback, feed into that? We try and look at what player feedback gives us with, faction balancing, but it isn't always perfect. We know what faction balance is by the numbers, especially with active accounts.
Yeah.
But then players, I have one number. Players are like, I look at it and I go, oh, clearly West heavy. And then players go, this is East heavy. And it's East heavy because those Eastern players are much more dominant on that server and they show up to events versus the Western players who really outnumber them and just don't go. That's something that we need to be in tune with. So all of that is looked at, but the bottom line is what creates servers that have the best chance at having a long-term, healthy, successful, life when they're made. And this is kind of the split that happened with Iana and Caprosa. Because some people were like, I really want, Caprosa to be considered versus Iana. And what we were talking about on Reddit was when you look at them across regions, Iana mimics, I have this all written out, Iana's population and playstyle mimics, I shouldn't say playstyle, I should say play hours, mimic Kyrios actually very, very closely, versus Caprosa, which is lower, and actually does mimic more like Leviathan on EU or North Americans Olo. So that might be shocking to some players because they're, and then we have other players who are like, well, this server's all alts. Well, if they're all alts, man, they play for a really long time and they're really active and they're participating in various things. So even if it's an alt, it's technically acting enough like a real player where it's a player. Like there's only so much you can, go with that where before, you can't say that it's just someone logging on and burning labor. Okay, we would see that. Like these people are logging on and playing the game. That's a real person. Or if it's an alt, that's a really active alt that is meeting that requirement.
Right.
So when we looked at the way that these things split, putting Caprosa on its own didn't work with the new servers that would be created and with the way with the prior servers like Shadagon. The numbers just wouldn't add up appropriately. It wouldn't be able to survive on its own. It would become a free farm server. And that was the concern. Now, flipping it around, like doing like Iana Defuta Rangora, like people asked about that. That's right. I just got confused. I just got mixed up. Looking at all my notes. That's what I was trying to explain there. Why not Iana and Shadagon? That was another question that was brought up. It's too high population. You start running into the same issues we would have with something like Prophecy, where there would be queues, there would be not enough land for everyone. And in creating these servers, we want to make sure that there's enough room for people who are coming on it, that they have an adequate chance to get their land back, that nations and guilds are being considered in this mix as well. So that's another big consideration too. You don't want it to be too high population. So choosing the way we chose actually made a good mix across all of the servers in Europe. I know that some people may still, even after all of that, consider it not enough, but those are some of the core components of why we made the decisions that we made, and it really is looking at long-term server health and what's best for the game as a whole.
And also, I mean, it went pretty drastic. This time we evolved 3 servers into one, and then another 3 servers into one. And then on EU.
And Master Doom just says we don't want too high pops. I mean, no,
right.
Like that. You guys hate it and get driven insane whenever you get a queue or you don't have enough land or things like that.
Yeah.
That's real negative feedback that has to be considered.
Right.
An ArcheAge server has to have a happy medium of population in order to function with a lot of its game design and game mechanics.
Squid Dinner asks, this is a little separate, but what happens to the player nation hero statues on merge?
Say that again. What happened with hero statues?
Yeah, hero statues.
Yeah, they're going to have to be rebuilt.
They're going to have to be rebuilt. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just trying to read a couple of the questions here, see if there are any that we have time to answer. It's already 2:15, so we actually have to do the giveaway because Atlas Reactor's coming up next. So sorry, we will cut it short here. However, I will say take it to the forums. You can continue to post on that same live stream thread if that's where you want to post, and we'll try to get some answers in there. Remember, not everything is going to have an answer, or not everything is going to be we're not going to take time to answer all of them, because some of them we don't have the answers to. They are specifically answerable by Excel, so we would have to ask, and then we'd have to go wait for the answer, and the answer might be a really big thing and might deserve its own thread. So not all questions get answered, unfortunately, but we will try our best to answer as many as we can, especially if they're kind of overarching questions. Okay.
And I just want to say that, quickly, if you have questions, drop them there where Muzzy just said, or drop them on Reddit. I want to answer them, but unfortunately I will not have the internet for this weekend. So I will try and answer them when I come back to the internet and to the real world back on Tuesday.
Yeah, and actually, I just want to call this out too. I am going to be out all weekend and
You're
Monday as well. I'm going to go to a convention so in Austin, and then you won't be in Austin, so I'm not even going to get to come say hi. So
no, sadly not.
So that's not going to work out. But just so you know, there will be some not me looking at things as much this weekend and on Monday. So I do apologize for that, but I will try to get back into it as much as possible. Okay, so giveaway time. We're going to do 1 Archean pack, 550 loyalty grants, and then we're going to do 3 Conquerors cubes. So if you guys...
Boop, if you messaged me long ago, just ping me here on Twitch with your question or whatever. I'll try and answer it before I leave today.
Yeah, and somebody earlier asked about Discord servers. Definitely go ask in the Reddit. Go ask because the Reddit has a Discord server for NA, and then there's also an EU one, and there's a whole bunch of smaller Discord ones. I have a personal one with an ArcheAge channel in it that you guys can come find. But anyway, so there are places that you guys can go. Okay, so we're going to do the 3 Conquerors cubes first. I want to see... hashtag Conquer Cube. I like that one, actually. Scales put that in, or Scaleless. So let's do hashtag Conquer Cube, Conquers Cube. And that's CONKER, so you know.
Look at these wasted X's.
I know, all these wasted X's. I wish I cared about X's. There we go, Conquer Cube. There it is. Go ahead and roll it. We got 3 of these. Who are going to be the winners? I really like this this pet. It stays near me. I always know where it is. It's not aggroing unintentionally. I actually really like it a lot. Plus, I can use it while I'm gliding over things, which is kind of fun. Okay, so first winner for a Conquer Cube, you will be granted this. So make sure that when you win, although also, by the way, it's only going to work on Twitch. If you're on Facebook, YouTube, or any of those, you got to come to Twitch, twitch.tv/TrionWorlds to enter the giveaway. The first winner is going to be XTechX. Congratulations on your new Conquer Cube pet, battle pet. It's pretty cool. It's got some sweet animations. Keep it alive, though. It dies pretty easily. And then we've got the Ebony Care Bear. Congratulations to you, Ebony Care Bear. And Segtendo. Congratulations. So you guys have the Conquer Cube. The next one that we're going to go for, make sure you check your Twitch inbox, I think by the end of the day. Yeah, by the end of the day, you guys should check your Twitch inbox. Maybe you have to check your other one as well. We're going to do the 5 loyalty packs here. So let's do hashtag loyalty. Let's see, maybe AA loyalty. Let's do hashtag AA loyalty. So you can get it. Well, it's 5 of them. 5 people are going to get 50 loyalty. Or do you want to do 50 people get 5 loyalty? No, I'm kidding. It's 5 people get 50 loyalty. Moby has to do the grants. He's our producer today, and he has to do the grants. So he's like, please not 50. Hand.
Yeah, please not 50 people.
Okay, so AA loyalty. I like that. That's nice, guys. That's very sweet of you to be so loyal to ArcheAge. So let's go ahead and roll it. First one is going to be Razor BZH. Congratulations to you. You just got yourself 50 loyalty. Next one goes to Gordo Big Mac. Gordo Big Mac. I thought it was like Gordob in Mac. Gordo Big Mac. Congratulations. Homie Pop-Tart.
You filled his bank.
I did. Yeah, I filled his bank with 50 loyalty. Congratulations to you, Homie Pop-Tart. Rigged. Next one is going to be, this is for number 4. Goes to Antiker 9010. Congratulations to Antiker 9010. And the next one we're going to do is, winner is Just Enki. Just Enki. Congratulations. Now we're going to do our big one Archeum pack. This pack is really sweet. It's got a ton of great stuff in it, including that awesome car. So one Archeum pack. Yep.
Crossing fingers.
Yeah, I'm going to cross my fingers for me. No, I already have one, so I'm good. I got that pack. So let's see. We're going to do big one. I like that. Hashtag big one. Let's see some hashtag big one in chat. You already rolled it? Fine. What do we get? The winner is Potetin. Too many syllables there. Potetin. Yeah, Potetin. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Let's roll one more. Sorry, Sarah. I know this didn't get approved, but I'm gonna roll one more. So.
Wow, you gotta tell Emery.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go get beat up by somebody. All right, let's roll one more. What do we got? Calic, congratulations. 2 big ones today. Congratulations. That's because like Moby pre-rolled and we weren't ready. And okay, congratulations, guys. All right, so we got Potetin, and Calic for the big ones. Congrats. We are out of here. We'll see you next Friday. I don't know what next Friday's stream is going to be. We answered a ton of questions. Actually, next Friday's stream, we've probably got some news, maybe a little bit of news at least. We'll talk about more of that next Friday. So we'll see you around, guys. Thanks for hanging out.
You guys.